Yeah, well, when I started, there was, the club had been at a reasonably low ebb. We hadn't done so well in first grade. I think we'd won 2 out of 18 games the year before. But there were some good signs. I remember when I took over thinking there was some promising signs in Colts. I think Colts had finished fourth, and there were some good players coming through. And I think the rest of the grades were kind of mid-table, so they weren't. There was some signs there that there was some potential in the club. And I really thought, having coached against uni for a few years by that stage, that I could make some improvements in a hurry. I guess the first part of 2009, that didn't really turn out that way. I think we won one of our first 7, so I wasn't feeling great about longevity as a coach at that point, but we sort of steadily improved from then. We got a lot of satisfaction out of that year in 2010. We knew going into the season that we had a really good team. If we could keep everyone on the park, and as it turned out, I think we lost our first game that year, but I don't think we lost again from then. And I just remember feeling so confident going into the back end of the season. We had all bases covered. We had some really good talent in the team. When I look back on it now, that a lot of those guys probably hadn't played rep footy by that stage, but they went on to play. Some of them went on to play for Australia and Super Rugby after that. So very, very fortunate that we're able to get that team together and play so well. Well, I mean, firstly, the guys that were probably important in getting me to the club were Michael Zajac, who first planted the seed. He and I are really good mates, but he always used to go on about how uni were the sleeping giants of Brisbane club rugby. And I remember that planting the seed with me probably the season before. He was coaching reserve grade at uni. And then, Dave Muir and Bruce Brown, who were the club GM and club chairman, obviously got me to come across to uni, which I'm very grateful for. Going back earlier, I think in terms of influence on me as a coach, Jake Howard and Marguerite Howard, for that matter. Jake was a coach at uni when I was at school, and he used to come and pick Pat, his son, up and me, and come and take us to the Sunday afternoon games out here at the club while he was coaching. And so that was an early influence. And then I was fortunate enough to live with Jake and Marguerite through some of my uni years, and they were a great influence on my coaching. Jake, from a kind of set piece, aggression, body height, and just the way he dealt with the man management side of things, and Marguerite from that kind of attacking, fast, good catch pass. That's always had an influence on me as well, and I'm sure Marguerite would say, watching us play, that we probably fall short of the standards she would set for attacking play, but it's certainly been an influence on me. Yeah, I mean, Halley's never far from our thoughts at uni. I mean, it's certainly never far from my thoughts. It's by far the most significant event I've ever had to deal with as a coach. And without downplaying the event at all, what it underlined for me. I mean, look, Halley was a great person. He was a great club person. He epitomised everything that club spirit and the kind of character you want around your club should be. And his loss, will always be felt by his family and by those close to him. So I want to acknowledge that. What it underlined for me, though, from a club point of view, I'm really, probably proud's not the right word, because you never want to have to go through something like that. But I just think the club handled itself really well coming out of that experience. getting the club through that experience, getting the team through that experience. It was a really tough few weeks in particular after that happened. I remember coming back we gave everyone off, I think. We came back to training on the Thursday and we left it to the players as to whether they wanted to play or not. Everyone was pretty firm that they wanted to play. We played Gold Coast, I think they were then. I don't think they were Bond yet. And they were winning, and they were one of the bottom clubs at the time. We were at the top, and they were winning at half time, and we just weren't, our minds weren't on the job. And at half time, I remember distinctly saying to the guys, look, no judgment from me. You guys do the best you can this half. And I really couldn't say much more than that. I was so emotional myself, but the guys played so well in the second half. And I remember the Gold Coast skipper was a guy called Ruben Filimono, and he gave such a beautiful speech at the end of the game to our guys. It'll always stick with me. It was really touching. And then, footy-wise, we were pretty good for the rest of the year, but I think, by the end of the year, we'd used up whatever emotion we had to give to footy. So it probably wasn't a great surprise that we went out in the finals that year. And also, Sunnybank had a fantastic team that year and probably deserved to win. Yeah, they're all really, the first one was obviously special because it set us on our path. 2014 was special because I thought, we just had a really good, working, even team that year that scrapped and fought for every bit of the season. Even though we, on paper, we went through the season and didn't, I think we only lost one game. Almost every game was close. And then to win, I think we won after the bell with a penalty from Tom Pincus, so that's always a special way to win, and you get quite a buzz out of that. 2019, obviously coming from close to the bottom of the table halfway through the season to win that one was special. And like last year, just the group was so well connected and so close. I thought, we ended up, again, I probably didn't see coming that we'd go through a year only losing one game last year, but that's the way it panned out. And obviously we had a pretty dominant performance in the grand final against a very good Jeeps team. Yeah, again, it's hard to pick one or two out. From the early days, I remember, when I coached my 100th game, we had two guys called Sam Cochran and Will Thompson who played their 100th game at around the same time. And guys like that, were the heart and soul of the club. Tomo was a very underrated halfback. Sam, was the cornerstone of our scrum for a long time. So they were really important to our success early on. And they never played any rep footy, but but they could have, in a different set of circumstances. Since then, guys like Jack DeGangan and Pat Murray have been just so important to our success. And again, just really good people, good club footballers that could have played rep footy if someone had taken a chance on them. And all those guys I mentioned have gone on in their careers as well, which is something we're really proud of at uni, that these guys have got themselves into successful careers outside of footy as well and set themselves up. Probably one thing is I've had a lot of good players, that helps. The second thing is there've been a lot of good people behind the scenes who have helped out. I mentioned Dave Muir and Bruce Brown and Michael Zajac, and they've been a huge part of the success at uni. I've had some really good assistant coaches. When I started, I had Jimmy Holbeck here helping. I've had Anthony Matheson here. I've had, and for the last sort of 6 years, I've had Elton Berenger, who's put in a significant body of work at uni, both through the Colts program and also recruitment. And there's a lot in the last 5 or 6 years as an assistant coach. So, good players, really good support. And I think, you know, one of the things Jake said to me very early on was, yeah, you've got to insist on high standards, and I think we've always done that at uni. We insist on proper technique, we insist on certain levels of behaviour, and we did that really early, and we don't actually have to worry about insisting on that too much anymore, because players just get in a groove around it. So yeah, I'm not sure what else I can say. I mean, I've been very fortunate to be involved in such a great club for such a long period of time. I certainly don't take it for granted. I love the competitive side of it, so I love winning every week. I make sure that standards are kept high every week. Yeah, and I think the players respond to that. First and foremost, I probably need to thank my wife and family. I mean, you know, they've been part of my coaching career since, you know, almost since I started. So, you know, I think Frank, my eldest son, you know, we got a photo of him sitting in the hospital's cup as a baby in 2010, which, you know, so they've all grown up with me being part of uni. You know, my wife's been a wonderful support. You know, in a different set of circumstances, I wouldn't have been able to do it for so long. But she loves that I'm involved with uni, and she understands, you know, what I get out of it more than anything. So that's been wonderful, and I guess, you know, just all the people around the club, chiefly our now president, Michael Zajac, who first planted the seed for me coaching at uni all those years ago, and you know, we've got wonderful staff led by Jason Greenhalgh, our club general manager. So you know, and I mentioned Elton Berenjay before, who's just who does a lot of work just behind the scenes, not only in coaching but recruiting and a lot of other things around the club.